It's been 1 month since I started my YouTube channel. I will, however, not be eating this because it's hard as a rock. But it looks cute. Hello everyone, I am Sammy, your devoted manga otaku, and welcome to my manga space. Today I will be discussing all the manga I read in the month of March. It isn't a huge list simply because my kiddos were on spring break this month, which is also why I haven't been posting as much as I'd like. That, and I've been battling some technical issues with editing and software, but fingers crossed that April is kind to me. Okay friends, I invite you to grab a coffee or other beverage of your choice and let's talk manga. The first manga I will be talking about that I read this month is actually an entire shoujo romance series, and that's volumes 1 through 8 of Honey So Sweet by Meguro. This Viz Media publication is completed at 8 volumes and is rated 13+. This series is about a girl, Neo, who has only been in high school for just a few short weeks and is still in the process of finding friends. One day, Taiga, the school troublemaker and delinquent, gives Neo a bouquet of flowers and asks Neo to be his girlfriend, with marriage in mind. Neo doesn't know much about Taiga apart from his frightening reputation of getting into fights and being cruel to small animals. Worried that Taiga would lash out if she denied him, Neo accepts his dating proposal, hoping she'll eventually bore him. Quickly though, Neo discovers that even though Taiga looks the part of a criminal, he is in fact an incredibly kind and caring sweetheart. If you watched my first manga haul video, you know that I was worried about this manga. I was worried that it would be too innocent for me. Now, it is one of the fluffiest things I have ever read, but I was surprised at how much I actually enjoyed it. I was enjoying it so much that I actually ended up binging the whole series. For the most part, the manga follows Taiga and Neo's relationship, but you also get to see the friends they make along the way, and I was enthralled with almost all of them. And I think that's why I liked the manga as much as I did. The characters were so lovable and likable, so much so that it would be hard for me to pick a favorite. The narrative was fairly basic for a shoujo story, but I felt that Meguro-sensei did a good job at adding unique twists to the cliches. The last 3 volumes were actually the weakest in the series, in my opinion, because volume 6 introduces a unlikable character. I wouldn't have disliked them as much if the manga had kept going after the conflict and resolution with this character, but because the series ended soon after this story arc, it left a bad taste in my mouth. And that's probably my biggest critique of this series. I think it ended too soon. It follows the characters for their first year of high school, but I would have loved the story to continue all the way through to graduation. There is a time jump at the end, which I always appreciate, but it didn't necessarily satisfy me. In summary, this is a great series. I enjoyed reading it, and I have no regrets collecting it. I loved all the main and supportive characters and was excited to see their relationships and friendships develop. The story has so many cute and laughable moments, and the art style is really pretty and fluffy. I recommend this to anyone who loves sweet, cutesy, heartwarming shoujo with low stakes drama. The next manga I read in March just recently debuted in print although there are 3 volumes available digitally, and that's volume 1 of A Sign of Affection by Sue Morishita. This manga is a slice of life romance shoujo. It's published by Kodansha Comics and is rated 16+. This story revolves around Yuki, a young woman attending college who spends her free time on social media, sales shopping, and hanging out with her friends. Yuki is deaf and is used to communicating via her cell phone and Japanese Sign Language. So when a tourist asks Yuki a question, she becomes flustered as she is unable to easily understand or respond to the request. Luckily, a handsome stranger steps in and aids the situation by giving the tourist directions. After the encounter, Yuki learns that this mysterious boy is a friend of hers and is actually a fellow student. His name is Itsuomi. He is well-traveled and well-versed in multiple languages. However, sign language is not one of them. Will these two be able to overcome the language barrier between them and find a way to communicate their growing feelings? I felt like this manga was a very simple and soft introduction to the series. After reading it, I found myself excited and eager to learn more about the characters, especially the main love interest, Itsuomi. His facial expressions are unreadable, creating an air of mystery about him. I love how the main couple are drawn to each other through the power of curiosity. Itsuomi is trilingual and is interested in languages in general. At first, he takes an interest in how Yuki communicates through sign language, and Yuki is interested in Itsuomi's travels and experiences around the world, because her world has always been in a very small bubble. Furthermore, I thought Morishita sensei was very clever with their use of different fonts depending on the type of communication being executed. For example, when Yuki reads lips, the font is gray so that the reader can make that connection. Or when Yuki is communicating via text message, the font is different entirely. The art style is gorgeous. The cover art is so pretty, and physically it feels so nice and smooth. I love the mixture of the matte parts of the manga cover with these like shiny parts. So nice. The cover art is actually what drew me to this manga in the first place, but at that point, it was only available digitally. I was so excited when Kodansha announced that this manga was getting a printed release. I feel like this is the start of something beautiful. Also, if you didn't know, Morishita Sensei is the mangaka of the popular series Shortcake Cake, which I'm planning to buy eventually. It's on the list. The next series I started in March is also a Kodansha Comics publication, and that's Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight by Rin Mikimoto. This is an ongoing series with 11 volumes available digitally and in print, with the 12th and final volume being released in June 2021. Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight is a romance shoujo series, and it's rated 16+. In this story, we follow Hinako, a girl in her second year of high school who sticks to a strict routine and busy schedule. She wakes up at the same time every day, double checks her homework, makes breakfast, takes care of her little sister, etc. On the outside, Hinako is a role model student, too busy for trivial things like boys and dating, but secretly, Hinako watches romantic movies and hides fairy tales in her textbooks, fantasizing about finding her own fairy tale romance with a hunky prince. Hinako believes her dreams could come true when she's given the chance to be an extra in a movie starring the popular idol and celebrity Kaede. After a few chance encounters with this superstar, Hinako gains Kaede's attention, because she learns a secret of his and doesn't condemn him for it. But Hinana is still unsure if this is the fairy tale romance she was looking for. Where to start with this manga? This was not what I expected at all, and I loved it. Right off the bat, though, I'm going to say that this manga will not be for everybody. Firstly, it's an age gap romance. If you've watched literally any of my videos, you know that I'm a fan of a well-written age gap. Secondly, it has some low-key, raunchy humor.
Nothing at all! Nothing at all!
Which isn't funny for everyone, but I found it entertaining, and I appreciated the little unpredictable details. The main protagonist was instantly relatable for me because, and I've said this before, I'm a fairy tale hoe. This is kind of embarrassing, but when I was younger, I used to obsess about becoming a princess to the point of getting upset and crying.
I had issues.
I immediately understood and connected with Hinana's fascination with romantic fairy tales. Also, I loved how honest she was in this volume, and she's not afraid to communicate how she's feeling. I loved that the prince of the story isn't what you'd expect, and more importantly, he isn't perfect, which makes him feel like a more believable character in my opinion. I don't want to spoil too much about him, but I like him. And for the most part, he's hilarious, even though he sometimes makes me laugh cringe. I'm eager to learn more about Kaede's backstory, and I want to see how he develops throughout the story. In a nutshell, this manga was weird and silly and a little pervy. I laughed a lot, I smiled a lot, and I found that the art was really cute and polished. I'm looking forward to continuing this series, and I'm glad I caught it right as it was concluding so that I don't have to wait long to see how it ends. The last series in my March wrap-up is actually part of a little personal project of mine. Before starting my channel, my manga was, for the most part, in storage. It wasn't until the end of last year that I was confident that I could trust my kids around bookshelves and my collection. When I brought them out of storage, I realized that I had forgotten what most of my manga were about. Some I haven't read in 15 years. So, I promised myself I would reread every single series in my collection. In February, I reread Mars and Backstage Prince. I wrote reviews for them as well, but don't ask me when I'll release those. And this month, I decided to dive into some of my old yaoi and chose to reread the short yaoi series, Little Butterfly by Hinako Takanaga. There are 3 volumes in this June publication. It's rated 18+. However, the omnibus is rated 16+. I believe it's out of print, but I was able to find used copies available on Amazon. Now, before I explain the story, can we just take a moment to appreciate these covers? I mean, they're so freaking cute and detailed, and I don't know if you can tell, but they actually have like a dust jacket. So that's the cover without the dust jacket. And I don't know, I just think that the dust jackets make them look really, really fancy. When I was younger, I would purposely buy manga that had this parental advisory warning on the front because that's how you knew you were getting the good stuff. Actually, I'm pretty sure my mom had to buy these for me because I was around 14 or 15 when I bought these and they wouldn't sell them to me. I wasn't old enough. This yaoi series follows 2 teenage boys in their last year of high school, the gloomy and reclusive wallflower Nakahara and the cheerful and outgoing Kojima. Countless times, Kojima has tried to befriend Nakahara and finally manages to succeed during a school field trip. After catching Nakahara trying to run away from home, Kojima learns that he comes from a broken family. His mother is mentally unwell and his father is abusive. The boys form a caring relationship or friendship, but Nakahara quickly grows attached to Kojima and confesses his love for him, while Kojima struggles to understand his own feelings. From what I remember of my older yaoi, this was unique to the genre in that it focuses more on the storyline and character development versus the sex and explicit content. I liked that the drama and conflict in these books was realistic and serious, and I felt really bad for Nakahara having to cope with his shitty, dysfunctional parents. Also, I want to add that Kojima's mother is a literal inspiration, and I admire her stepping in when Nakahara needed help. Her character was never in the spotlight, but that didn't stop me from noticing her kindness and support of this boy. A couple times I found Kojima kind of annoying and naive, especially for a high school boy, but I found out recently that the English version of this yaoi ages the characters from middle schoolers to high schoolers. The characters' personalities and actions in certain situations make way more sense when imagining them in junior high. However, I get why it was decided to age the characters because this is a yaoi, and there is smut. The pacing in this manga was phenomenal for the length of the series. I've read a couple short series recently where the pacing felt off, but in this, everything felt like it was happening at the right time. Additionally, the pacing of the romance between Nakahara and Kojima was really well done. I was happy to see Nakahara be respectful of Kojima and gave him space to comprehend his blossoming feelings. The art definitely looks dated, but that's not a bad thing. It's still lovely and elegant. The only gripe I might have with the art is that I think Takanaga sensei drew too much blush on the characters and you lose their faces in the blush lines sometimes. Overall, this is a well-illustrated and written manga and would be perfect for someone who is new to yaoi, as it eases you into the genre nicely. And with that, we have come to the end of my first manga wrap-up. Have you read any of these manga? I would love to know in the comment section below. If you're interested in watching more videos from me, you can check out my end card where I'll have links to my most recent videos. I hope you all have a manga-nificent day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! I may or may not have purchased the rest of Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight. I have no control.